I'm Denise Levy. I'm an artist and designer. Welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to show you how to put together this wedding card that I designed featuring this really cute wedding cake that has birds and flowers and bees. It's a lot of fun to put together, so let's get into it.
Okay, here's a closer look at this card that I'm going to make today. This card was inspired by a digital drawing I did of a wedding cake and turned into a card that I've sold a bunch of times, and I thought it would be fun to turn it into a die cut card. Um, so I'm just going to start with the small pieces, and I'm just going to get everything dry fit before I start gluing. And you can see that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to glue this fine detail piece to these pink flowers and get that glued down. And then get that glued to the little cluster. There's 3 little flower clusters that you need to put together, and for me, I like to start with the small pieces, but if you wanted to start with the background layers of the card, you could do that as well. So after I get those flowers all glued, the pink flowers glued together, I'm going to get them on those little green background pieces. The pink flowers go down first because everything else is going to layer on top of those. So I'm going to do this last one. I'm just putting little tiny dots of glue, get that back on its background piece. I think this makes a really nice effect having this layered flower. I got a little bit too much glue there, so I'm trying just fiddling with that and getting that lined up, and then I will get it back down on its corresponding cluster, and just gluing that right back down. And then I believe I'm going to move on to the birds. So the birds, the little lovebirds, come in 3 layers. So you have that background layer, which will create ultimately the wings, this orange layer, which will create the beaks, and then you have the dark blue bodies that go on top. These are pretty easy to come up, easy to put together, and I think it's a really nice, cute touch to this card, and it also adds some nice dimension. So I'll get that other bird body down. And like I said, I like to dry fit everything just to make sure I've got everything like going the right way and whatnot. I tend to put things down the wrong way. So even when I dry fit, oh my goodness. Okay, so I cut the eyes out of vinyl. I also cut them out of cardstock just to see what would happen. I'm going to show you that. I don't know if you can see it with my black background, but they did cut out of cardstock, but I just think it's much easier to cut them out of vinyl, and the sentiment you want to cut out of vinyl as well. So I just think it's easier just to do these out of vinyl. And what I like to do is, and you could use transfer tape. Which actually might be easier. I like to just use my little tweezers and pick each one up and then put it down in place, and that creates the little eye for the bird. And now we'll get that second one. Sometimes they really want to stick to the tweezers, so just use my finger there and get that pressed down. And now the birds are done. I'm going to finish these yellow flowers, just have a orange center that you just glue down right in the middle of those flowers, and then those are going to overlap the pink flowers. And you can see I'm just kind of moving that around, just making sure I have it in the correct place. I'm going to use a little adhesive foam circle for this one, just because that pink flower is already 2 layers of cardstock. So I just want to bring that yellow one up a little bit so it's kind of flush. And then I'm going to put the birds there. I'm going to use, I'm going to do a combination of foam adhesive and glue on the birds. So I'm going to put foam adhesive at the very top of the right hand bird and glue at the bottom, and then only foam adhesive for the main body of the bird on the left. And that'll just make sure that he is level and not wonky on your card. So that is done. And now I'm going to get the center of that other yellow flower on there and glue that down. And then I believe I'm going to move on. Oh, I'm going to glue this one down as well. I'm going to use foam adhesive on this flower, just to kind of, like I did on the other one, just to kind of bring it up so it's flush or level with that pink flower. And then that is done. And now I'm going to move on to the bees. Now I've cut these bees bodies out of black cardstock for this card, and I've also cut them out of vinyl. I think the cardstock works better, but it's kind of up to your discretion. I'm going to put a little piece of white paper underneath so you can see it on my black mat. But they cut out beautifully out of the cardstock. And I think it's, for something like this, it's just easier. At least it was for me. So with the bee, you have the bee face. You got to have a smiling bee on a wedding cake. So we got the bee's head. Just taking off that positive part of his little eye, and we just place that right on there. And then you have two yellow stripes for the body. The one in the center, when you actually make this card, it'll make more sense, but that piece kind of angles and it kind of gets wider at the bottom, and so you want that wider piece to be at the bottom of the bee, and then the end piece will fit. You just dry fit that in place, and that should be easy to place. So you can see I'm kind of moving that around, and remember, this is crafting. It's not that serious. If you get it going the other way, it's still just going to be an absolutely adorable card, and I'm sure whomever you give this to will just love it. Okay, so I've got that middle little stripe on there, kind of adjusting that, and then I will get the final little piece on there, just dabbing just a little bit of glue. And then there is a blue piece for the wings, and that just fits right on top there. And I'll just put just a couple little dabs of glue and get those little wings in place like that. And then that little bee is done. And it'll go right on that. And so the other bee I put together just the same way. The final piece is getting the wings on, and then that bee will go on the other cluster. And I'm just dry fitting just to make sure everything looks okay, and then I will glue both of those little bees down. I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue just on the bottom of the bee, just mainly where it overlaps that flower, and I think that worked really well. And with this one, I'm going to use a foam adhesive dot, and I'm going to put it right on the green part so I know I've got it where I want it, as opposed to guessing where it should go on the bee's body. And so I did that because of that yellow flower was already popped up, so putting him flush would not have worked. So now I'm going to move on to the cake. I'm going to dry fit the frosting layers, and those should fit nicely. You can see I kind of fiddle with it and make sure I'm getting those going the correct direction, and then you will see me start to glue these down. I've talked about this a lot, but I really like this Barely Arts Precision Craft Glue. It's what I've been using all of this year. I really like the Precision Applicator tip. It's a really strong glue, so I highly, highly recommend using this glue. So now I'm just trying to adjust it. If you purchased this card for me, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you supporting my art. If you're interested in buying this card, it is available. It will be available on my website, DeniseLevyStudio.com, as well as the Silhouette Design Store. So now I'm getting to this final frosting layer, and I left this in just to show you that we all make mistakes. I get this down, and as soon as I get it down, I think I'm like, no, that doesn't look right. As soon as I tried it, I'm like, nope. So I take it up, and because that cluster is going to cover most of the frosting, I just use the same piece. I if I was going to give it to somebody, actually, just I'm here looking at it, I can't see any adhesive on there, so I still would be able to give this card to somebody. So I flip that around, I get it going the correct way, and then I will start gluing these clusters in place. And you know exactly where to put them, because I have little bump outs on that cake layer. But before I do that, I'm going to do the sentiment. The sentiment for the eye, it's a little heart. I've cut this out several times and had no problems with the heart. And of course, today when I'm filming, it gives me problems, which isn't that the way it always goes. So I'm just, I got it back, and now I'm just kind of getting it back into place. And now I will weed all of those positive areas out of the sentiment. Then I will use a piece of transfer tape, and we'll get that sentiment pulled up and ready to apply to the card. So I'm just looking at making sure that heart is okay. Now I have my transfer tape, and we'll get that put down, and I will burnish it with my little scraper tool. I like to burnish it on the front and the back, and just to make sure that's going to release from that backing paper. And burnish it one more time, and then I will pull that up, and hopefully I get lucky and all of the letters are going to come off in one pass. And sure enough, they do. So now this is just going to go at the bottom of this cake, and I just kind of center it, and there's a little curve to kind of follow the curve of the cake. and then I'm going to burnish that down a little bit, and then I will very carefully pull up that transfer tape. I've been known to pull up a little bit of cardstock, so I try to go very gingerly and slowly to get that up. Okay, so we got that. Now we are going to glue all of these little birds and bees clusters down on the card. I'm just going to glue them flat to the card because we've already got a lot of dimension going on, and we will just get each one of those glued on using that Barely Arts glue. And I just think this is really a fun, sweet card. You could use these little clusters on, individually. You could put them on a gift tag that could coordinate with your gift or your card. You could use them in your journal, scrapbook page. I think they're really sweet. So now we're going to center our completed cake on the scallop piece. And I'm going to put glue just on the bottom, so I have so it gives me that like little bit of wiggle room, since this glue does dry pretty fast. And then as soon as I'm happy with that, I will add glue to the top of the cake, and then we will I will glue again just on the bottom, and I will center this on the blue rectangle. Now, looking back, I maybe when I make this again, I would use foam adhesive to apply this completed scallop piece to the blue background piece. I glued it down flat. I think either way is fine, but I think it might have been nice just to have that pop up just a little bit more dimension, but that's totally up to you. And now I'm going to glue this completed card. Sorry, my dog just arrived in here. I knew I should have shut my door. Okay, I'm going to stack that up and make sure it's all even. And then this card is complete. I'm just going to add some more glue to the top. And there we go. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate any likes here on YouTube or any follows. That would just be awesome. And I hope you have a wonderful day.